What if I told you that Air EQ will change the way you think about EQing? Would you be intrigued? Of course you would. Well, guess what? By the end of this video, I do believe that Air EQ will indeed change the way you think about EQing. First, let's discuss the topic of EQing in general. What is the purpose of EQing? And the simplest answer is that just like you tune a guitar to make it sound right, an EQ is used to tune your tracks in a mix to make them sound right. You are tuning the frequency of all those tracks so they fit together harmoniously. And if you first look at Air EQ, you'll see that it has all the familiar controls to do so, like frequency selection, bandwidth selection, and gain. And so first we'll apply these standard controls in an example with this kick drum, which we will listen to first with no EQ. So this is a rock mix, and we're going to need more attack on this kick drum. So I'll navigate to somewhere around 5 kilohertz, then I'll boost it, and then I'll customize the bandwidth to tune the amount of boost I want in that region. Then I'll do the same for the low end at around 80 hertz to give it a little bit more thump. Here we go. Okay, so we tuned our kick drum with a nice upper mid-range boost and a slightly more narrow low-end boost. And we have some more attack and we have some more low-end thump. And this is where most EQs stop, but not Air EQ. Because Air EQ provides us with another tuning variable, which we describe as character, called fire and water. By clicking shift on the keyboard and then clicking on the bandwidth, we can tune the resonance of the curve from fire, which is going to be more focused and sharp sounding, all the way to water, which is fatter and bigger and can actually be more transparent sounding. So these two extra curve variables give us a lot more fine tuning beyond what most EQs can do. So let's tune the fire and water for our curves. So we tuned the upper mid boost to be more water, which really made the sound of the attack fatter and bigger. And for the low end boost, I wanted it to be more focused, so I favored a bit more of the fire tuning. Now let's listen in context, and let me also mention that for the purpose of this video, I'm EQing the track in solo, but in a real mix situation, I would have actually tuned this unsoloed with the track in context. So the kick sounds great in the context of the mix, but now I can fine-tune it even more with another unique Air EQ feature called strength. The strength slider intensifies or reduces the overall sound of your curves. This makes it really easy to precisely find the perfect overall EQ tone. So let's play the full mix again, and I'm going to customize the strength. And now our kick is sitting perfectly in the mix. Now I'll show you another unique aspect to Air EQ, and that's the preset system. Typically, when you select a preset, it loads a preset curve on the EQ that is intended to make that instrument or voice sound better. But there is a fundamental flaw in pre-made presets. And that flaw is that the preset has no ability to listen to your dry track, so it can't determine exactly how much boost or how much cut should be applied in the preset. And therefore, it's kind of a gamble as to whether a preset will work well for your track. Air EQ does presets a little more intelligently. Let me show you how it works on this snare drum. First, here's the snare with no EQ. So now let's pull up the snare drum preset from the preset menu. The first thing you'll notice is that there is no curve loaded. You're thinking, oh my lord, how is this a preset? Well, what does get preset are all the elements of what you need when EQing a snare drum. And the EQ bands are even labeled with descriptive terms. So high clean is a low pass filter, which could be helpful if you have too much hi-hat bleed. Brightness is a high shelf at 2 kilohertz. High hit will enhance the upper mid attack and it's set to around 4 kilohertz. And if you shift click the bandwidth knob, you can see that there's a very fat water curve preset for high hit. Ring is at 500 hertz, and of course that's a band we'll likely want to cut if the snare has too much ring. The low end attack is at 200 hertz. The body is a water curve at 150 hertz, and low clean is a high pass that could be used to remove some kick drum bleed or tom bleed. So with that, watch how easy it is to EQ the snare with this preset system.
I know, we said we both needed space. And I know sometime.
And that's it. It's so easy, and you have a custom EQ profile just for this actual instrument. Okay, now I'm going to show you another great feature of Air EQ, which is band solo. First, let's listen to this vocal.
And I know, we said we both needed space.
So it sounds good, but there's a slight woofiness in the low end that I think needs to be cleaned up. By clicking Shift and then the frequency knob, I can solo the frequency to really find out where this woofy sound is so that I can remove it.
And I know, we said we both needed space. And I know, we said we both needed space.
So it's right at about 250 hertz. So now I'll give it a little bit of a trim.
And I know, we said we both needed space. And I know, we said we both needed space.
And there you go. Now it's a bit cleaner and it's going to sit better in the mix. The next feature I want to discuss is the Air EQ MS mode. MS stands for mid-side, and let me simply break it down. Imagine you are listening to a stereo mix. Picture all of the elements that are panned in the middle of the mix, like the vocal, the bass, the kick, the snare. Then picture the elements that are panned to the right and left sides of the mix, typically guitars, keyboards, synths, drum overheads. MS EQ allows you to EQ only the middle elements or the side elements independently. So let me show you how it works on this stereo mastering session. Let's play the original dry mix first.
And we said some things, wish that we could take it back. We couldn't see that this wouldn't last. Are we saying goodbyes at the end for us?
So the first thing I notice is that the vocal is a bit too tucked in. Now using MS EQ methods, we can bring out just the vocal. First, I'll click MS mode on the bottom left. Now we know that the vocal is in the middle of the mix, so by right-clicking on the band enable button, we can select the M for middle. Now we can navigate to find out where the vocal is sitting, and then I'll boost it.
And we said some things, wish that we could take it back. We couldn't see that this wouldn't last. Are we saying goodbyes at the end for us? Will we be okay? I know you wanted to stay friends, but I won't like you coming around with him, yeah, all the time.
So as you can hear, we were able to cleanly bring up just the vocal in the middle of the mix, and it sounds much better. But now I want to bring up the stereo synthesizers to give the mix a slightly wider sound. So in this case, I'll go to S for sides, and we'll bring them up.
And we said some things, wish that we could take it back. We couldn't see that this wouldn't last. Are we saying goodbyes at the end for us? Will we be okay? I know you wanted to stay friends, but I won't like you coming around with him, yeah, all the time. I know it's rude, but the truth is I don't need any new friends. I know you wanted to stay friends, but I won't like you coming around with him, yeah, all the time. I know it's rude, but the truth is.
And now the vocal is clearer, the mix is wider due to the ability to EQ just the middle and just the sides of your mix. So I hope you've enjoyed this intro to Air EQ, and as I said, once you really dive in and start to use these unique features, I believe it will change the way you think about EQing. So Everything Bundle users can download the Air EQ right now as part of their membership, and with that, happy mixing.